So welcome to our CommonLit Back to School webinar. My name is Allie and I'm a CommonLit School Partnerships Specialist. I'm really excited to be here with you all tonight. We're going to be discussing some tips and some lesson recommendations for a really strong start to the school year with CommonLit, whether you're familiar with us or whether you are new to our program. So logistics tonight. Our team is here to answer any questions that you have throughout the webinar, so please keep them coming. We're going to ask that we use the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen for questions, please. So send us any questions that you have through the Q&A feature. That's where my colleagues, Amanda and Rob, will be answering any of your questions. So for those of us who are new to CommonLit or are familiar with CommonLit but don't know that much about our program, to give you some context, CommonLit is a nonprofit that runs CommonLit.org, which is a full award-winning and proven effective research-based digital literacy program. Our program is created by expert teachers, so we know how important it is that our resources are based on research about instructional best practices. Our thousands of lessons come with easy to use digital tools and are designed to be flexible for teachers and engaging for students. In addition to our digital library of lessons, we also have a comprehensive ELA curriculum for grades 6 through 12 and benchmark assessments to track student progress over the course of the year. Here's our agenda for our session today. We're going to start with some tips and updates to our digital literacy program for this school year. Then we'll give you some recommendations for some really great back to school lessons and some suggested next steps. We're going to take about half an hour tonight to dive into all of these resources. So to begin, we're going to start by talking about our newly released materials for this school year. And to start, we're really excited to tell you about our brand new target lessons. So target lessons are a new type of lesson in our library this year. Target lessons are built around high interest texts and designed to teach students critical reading comprehension skills. They're meant to be really easy to use and taught in a single class period. So like I mentioned, target lessons address critical reading skills like identifying the main idea or analyzing words in context. And they're really great as a refresher to spiral into your instruction or for reteaching important skills after an assessment or for intervention settings. And we're going to be adding lots of target lessons to our library this year, so I'm definitely going to encourage you to keep coming back and checking them out. So for now, though, I want to show you where to find our target lessons and how they work. To find our target lessons on commonlit.org, I'm going to go over into our library here. And I'm going to look under content type to choose the target lessons filter. This is a new section of our filters here. Then I can also filter by grade level to find a just right lesson for my students. So let's say that I am a 7th grade teacher. I might filter by 7th grade. And as I'm looking at these different lessons here, I know that I have some students who need support finding the main idea. So I might choose the target lesson here, How Jackie Robinson Changed Baseball, which is designed to teach students how to identify the main idea. And I could use it to reteach the skill or to provide some extra practice. So let's check this one out to see everything that target lessons include. So each target lesson in our library starts with this overview page so that students know what to expect. Then there's a progression of activities during the lesson to build students' knowledge and engagement, starting with some sort of pre-reading activity to hook their interest and activate their prior knowledge. In this case, students will watch a video to introduce them to Jackie Robinson. Then students are shown the skill that they'll practice during the lesson. The target skill in this case is the main idea, finding the main idea. Then students will read the text. And as they read the text, they're going to answer a series of during reading questions that give them multiple opportunities to practice the target skill, in this case, identifying the main idea, through gradual release. So as you can see, these during reading questions include multiple choice and short answer questions so that students can get a bunch of different at-bats to practice the skill. Then, after students answer all of the during reading questions and they've had the chance to practice identifying the main idea over and over, there are post-reading questions so that teachers can measure students' understanding of the text and their successful application of the target skill. We're really excited to introduce our target lessons this year, and this is just one opportunity of how target lessons, one example, of how target lessons are designed to give students opportunities to practice these key reading comprehension skills. And as a reminder, we're going to be adding lots of target lessons to our library this year, so definitely keep coming back to check them out. But now, to go back to our webinar, we're going to talk about our next big release for school year 22-23, which is our new CommonLit 360 units for grades 11 and 12. So in addition to the 3,000 individual lessons in our digital library, we also have our comprehensive CommonLit 360 curriculum, which you may have heard of or you might be new to. CommonLit 360 units are full ELA units centered around an essential question that cover grade level reading, writing, vocabulary, grammar, and speaking and listening skills. Students and teachers across the country are loving CommonLit 360 because the units are really engaging and include lots of opportunities for students to engage in extended, really deep, rigorous thinking, reading, and writing. This is our scope and sequence for CommonLit 360. In grades 6 through 10, there are 6 units. And for grades 11 and 12, we're releasing 3 units over the course of this year, starting with our first units, which were released this summer, and our next units coming in the fall and the winter. And as you can see, all of the unit topics are super high interest for students. The units in grades 6 through 10 are both vertically and horizontally aligned. So over the course of the year, students will cover all grade level skills while they engage in really high quality learning around these different themes that you see. Each unit gets a little bit more challenging over the course of the year, but the routines stay the same so that teachers and students know what to expect. The year starts with a short stories unit where students are diving into one text at a time, which is a great entry point into our CommonLit 360 curriculum. Then they'll write a literary analysis essay at the end. And the curriculum gets a little bit harder over the course of the year, with students engaging in cross-textual analysis, synthesis, research, argumentative writing, and more. And students are getting the opportunity to build these high-level skills over the course of the year and develop mastery. And we're really excited about these new units for grades 11 and 12, which have a similar structure, but slightly different topics because we know that 11th and 12th grade classes usually look a little bit different. So as you can see here, there are novel studies, a multi-genre unit, and a memoir writing unit in 12th grade to prepare students for writing their college essays. Here's a closer look at those 11th and 12th grade unit topics. And like I mentioned, we've already added 11th grade unit 1 and 12th grade unit 1 to our site, so you can check them out now. 11th grade unit 1 is a novel unit on the Great Gatsby. It comes with all of the really juicy chapter guides that you need to engage students in rigorous thinking about the novel. Then 12th grade unit 1 is a memoir writing unit to prepare students for writing their college essays. It gives them the opportunity to learn how to effectively tell their own life stories. This November, we'll be releasing the second units for grades 11th and 12th grade, which are both novel studies. Then in January, we'll release a multi-genre analysis unit for 11th grade and an Othello unit for 12th. And we're really excited, so keep an eye out for them this year if you teach 11th and 12th grade. But to look more closely at each of these units so you know exactly what to expect with your students. This is our 11th grade Unit 1, The Great Gatsby. And as you can see, the unit centers on these engaging essential questions. How has the American dream evolved over the last 100 years, and what makes a novel great? There are chapter guides and quizzes, as well as vocabulary activities to give students multiple opportunities to learn high leverage words from the text and engage in deeper text-dependent thinking. We also have scaffolded writing lessons over the course of the unit, which gives students multiple at-bats to build their skills and lead up to the extended essay prompts at the end of the unit. And then there are also opportunities for students to collaborate and engage in really deep discussion in the related media and classroom discussion lessons. So lots of really juicy, exciting stuff in 11th grade Unit 1 and in 12th grade Unit 1 too. This is our memoir writing and application essays unit. So for 12th grade Unit 1, students will be focusing on the essential question, what moments and experiences define me? How do I tell my story? Really important as students are starting to that transition to college and to be becoming adults and writing their essays. So the unit starts with a related media exploration so that students understand the significance of writing their own stories. Then they'll read several really high quality memoirs, learn new vocabulary words drawn from those memoirs, and have multiple opportunities to brainstorm topics for their own essays. And just like in the other units in grades 6 through 11, over the course of the unit, students are also engaging in those scaffolded writing lessons to get ready to write their own application essay at the end of the unit. We're really excited about these 11th and 12th grade units, and I want to quickly show you where to find them if you're interested in teaching them. So going back to CommonLit, you can go ahead from our main page and click Browse Content, 360 Curriculum, and then you'll see the drop-down menu to find your own grade. This is our landing page for 360 where you can toggle among grade levels. If you're already familiar with our curriculum, you'll see that it actually got a facelift over the summer to make it a little bit easier to navigate if you've been using 360. So if you click on the unit, you'll see everything that you need to plan it out. The Why Teach This Unit section has the focus skills that you'll be focusing on during the unit to really build up students' grade level reading, writing, and speaking and listening skills. And you'll also see a quick description of all the reasons why teachers and students really love this unit, why it's really worth teaching. Under the Supporting Resources and Guidance section, you'll see some options for paired text that you can use as you're reading the unit. Other units also have resources for independent reading and book clubs as well. And then under Lessons and Materials, you'll find all of the reading, writing, vocab, and discussion lessons for each unit. You can click to preview and assign these different sections here so that you can get all of the materials that you and your students need. But we're really excited to be rolling out these units. We would definitely encourage you to check them out over the course of the year if you teach 11th and 12th grade, and we hope that your students love them too. But to transition into the last part of our webinar here, now that we've had a chance to preview the new resources on CommonLit for this school year, let's dive into some tips for getting your classes fully set up and ready to go. So we highly recommend assigning CommonLit lessons on our digital platform. Our platform is super easy for both teachers and students to use, and there are a number of features that you can take advantage of when you assign lessons digitally. One of the main benefits is that our digital reading lessons have a bunch of different tools that you can use to support all of your learners, no matter where they are, including text-to-speech read aloud, translation in over 30 languages, a digital annotation and highlighting tool, and the ability to turn on scaffolded comprehension questions to support your students' understanding as they read. There are also a bunch of different ways to save instructional time by assigning CommonLit lessons digitally. We offer a free integration with Google Classroom, And if your school is interested in partnering with us, we also offer paid integrations with Canvas, ClassLink, and Clever for a really seamless student experience. And assigning lessons digitally also gives you access to really robust student data. You get useful charts like these to show you how students performed on key skills, which makes it easier to plan targeted instruction. And it's super easy to set up your digital classes on CommonLit. There's a few ways that you can do that. One way is that you can create a class manually with a class code, or you can roster your students on Google Classroom for free. And like I mentioned on the last slide, if your school is interested in unlocking Canvas, Clever, or ClassLink rostering, they can purchase our School Essentials Pro package. And I'll be sharing more information shortly about School Essentials Pro if you're interested. But let's just quickly go over how to set up your digital classes on CommonLit so you're ready to go for this school year and ready to take advantage of all of the amazing resources that we've shown you. So you'll head back over to CommonLit and log into your account. Then you'll go to My Classes, Manage Classes. Like I mentioned, there are two ways to create your class on your free teacher account. One way is to create a new class manually. So you'll just click create a new class here. You can click to manually create your class, enter in all of your information, and this will generate a class code for you that you can share with students, write it on your whiteboard, and they can type it in to join your class. Students don't even need an email for this option, and it's really quick and easy for them to use. You can also import your class rosters from Google Classroom. There are several benefits to using our Google Classroom integration, including single sign-on, the ability to post lessons to your Google Classroom stream, and integration with the Google Classroom gradebook. And like I mentioned, we're going to be talking about School Essentials Pro a little bit later in the webinar if you're interested in unlocking that Canvas, Clever, and ClassLink integration. But now that we've talked about all of our new material for the school year and setting up our classes, I also have some suggestions for really great lessons to kick off the school year for all ages that your students will love. So starting with our youngest learners, I love this text, The Retake. It's a great text for back to school time. It's an empowering short story in which our main character, Andy, is really struggling to pass a geography test. And he's feeling frustrated because he's trying to memorize the locations of different states, but it's just not working for him. His teacher realizes that Andy learns differently, sound familiar, and shows him how being active can actually help him study. And I think this is a great story to read with students at the beginning of the year because it can help build their confidence and show them that everyone has different ways of learning. Another really great recommendation for our young learners is A Secret Code. In this story, Amy is worried about what her classmates will think when they find out that her parents are deaf at her new school's open house. But it turns out that Evelyn, her new friend, thinks it's really cool that Amy and her parents talk with their hands, and she asks Amy to teach her sign language. This is a really beautiful story to show that students that true friends like you just as you are. And moving on to our next recommendation, Funeral is a really amazing memoir written by Ralph Fletcher that takes place on the day that his family moved from his hometown of Marshfield as a child. On this last day in his town, his friends plan a really heartfelt and touching funeral for their friend because they know they won't be able to spend time with him anymore. And during this funeral, Ralph is able to grapple with these friendships that are ending and new friendships that are awaiting him on the horizon. Again, a really great story for the beginning of the year and students who are thinking and navigating about their friendships. A hilarious short story recommendation for middle graders. 7th grade is perfect for the beginning of the year. because the main character of this story, Victor, is really goofy and also love struck, like we know that these middle graders can be. And on the first day of the new school year, he goes to outrageous lengths to impress his new crush, Teresa. Your students will be literally rolling on the floor laughing while they read this story. It's a great one. Another really beautiful recommendation for middle graders here. This is a heartfelt and really inspiring memoir by Francisco Jimenez, where he's sharing an experience from his childhood. He is recounting the first months at his new school in the United States that highlight really how challenging it was for him to learn in class while he was also learning the language. This story really emphasizes the importance of building community and making our new classmates feel comfortable and heard, which is a beautiful message for the beginning of the school year. A few recommendations now for our high school students that are really great ones for the beginning of the year. Rules of the Game by Amy Tan is an excerpt from her very well-known novel, The Joy Luck Club. And in this passage, Waverly is determined to learn how to play chess. And over time, she becomes a really skilled player and wins tons of tournaments. But her mother starts to push her harder to practice more and more. And Waverly starts to feel suffocated by her mother's pride and really starts to chafe against the pressure. This is a really great text for students who are also growing up and potentially feeling differences and experiencing changes in their own relationships with family members. Super relatable. And then our last recommendation here for our high school set is Safety in Numbers by Lucy Tan. High schoolers will really relate to the narrator of this short story, who is trying to balance her mother's demands and her growing sense of independence. As the narrator is preparing for the SATs, she decides that after the test, she's going to sneak off to New York for an adventure with her best friend. And many of your students will really relate to the narrator's realization that it's important to balance playing it safe by taking the SATs, but also taking risks in life, like sneaking off to New York. My colleague is going to drop the link to all of the different back to school lessons that we recommended in the chat here for you to check out. And it's also available on our CommonLit blog too. I would definitely encourage you to read these short stories and find a really great one for your students, because they all cover these relatable back to school themes. As we wrap up here in our last 5 minutes, we're going to talk about some next steps to kind of dig into CommonLit more this year. We have several other webinars that we offer that you can use to dive more deeply into CommonLit's resources. First, if you want an overview of all of the resources available on CommonLit, we recommend attending the Getting Started with CommonLit's digital program webinar. It's a great opportunity to learn about all of the different resources available, especially if there are things today that sparked your interest that you want to learn more about. Next, if you were really sparked by target lessons today, we recommend attending Best Practices for CommonLit's target lessons. It's a webinar in which you'll get to learn more about how to use our target lessons really effectively in our classroom and maximize your student learning. And lastly, if you'd like to dive into our CommonLit 360 curriculum further, that comprehensive ELA curriculum for grades 6 through 12, definitely check out the Introduction to CommonLit 360 webinar to learn all about it. And my colleague Amanda just dropped in the chat the page to find all of our different webinars if you'd like to sign up for another one to dive more deeply. And like we've mentioned a couple of times during this webinar, CommonLit also offers a really affordable support package for schools called School Essentials Pro. Schools that invest in CommonLit see significant acceleration in student reading growth, and we would also love to support your team in getting those same results. So with CommonLit School Essentials Pro, your team's going to get everything you need to effectively and efficiently roll out our full digital literacy program. So your team can unlock professional development trainings, those rostering options we were mentioning, including Canvas, Clever, and ClassLink, as well as benchmark assessments to measure student growth over the course of the year, and school-wide data reports to track that student growth. So to dive a little bit more deeply into each of these options, the first element of School Essentials Pro is access to professional development trainings. So in addition to live webinars with our team that would be school exclusive for you all, you would also unlock our professional development portal, which is full of on-demand modules that you can use to maximize your literacy instruction on CommonLit. The professional development portal includes more than 20 trainings about best practices for using CommonLit and more than 60 trainings about CommonLit 360 specifically. And these modules can be done in teams or on your own, and they're designed to just fit flexibly into your planning and PD times. Another key element of our School Essentials Pro package is our assessment series, which is really great for tracking student progress over the course of the year. The assessment series is a set of 3 grade level benchmark exams. Each comes with 3 passages and 25 to 35 multiple choice questions that are instantly graded to give you actionable data to help you plan targeted instruction. You also get growth data over the course of the year to measure student progress. And lastly, to make your lives easier, we also offer several rostering options through School Essentials Pro. So you can unlock Canvas, ClassLink, and Clever rostering to make it easy for students to sign on and use our program. And we can also support you with Google Classroom setup as well. Our Canvas integration in particular is a really big benefit that makes using CommonLit totally seamless. You can import your Canvas classes to CommonLit, assign CommonLit lessons in Canvas, and send CommonLit grades back to your Canvas gradebook. And also, as part of our package, your team will also get a CommonLit account manager to support you all over the course of the year in using our program. But that is all we have for you this evening. Thank you all so much for taking the time out of your very busy back to school schedules to join us today. We hope you have a really great school year and that some of the resources you've seen are going to be helpful to you. And if you'd like to learn more about rolling out CommonLit's full digital literacy program, we're going to encourage you to email us at partnerships@commonlit.org. We'd love to talk to you about how we can support your team. Thank you all so much for joining us. Hope you have a great school year and take care.